IKEA.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Monday.
Hey, let's go live. Let's go live.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We're going to talk today. We got a bunch of stuff. We're covering IKEA is ditching plastic, going to paper. We've got Maine is making some changes to their EPR laws, their EPR requirements. And then we've got a couple other states coming on board. There's a lot going on. And, in Europe, there's EUDR regulations that are happening. So let's get to some packaging stuff. We got our buddy Corey is back from being on the road.
Good morning. And we have a giveaway.
Yes.
The original logo sweatshirt.
The OG Sustainable Packaging Podcast.
Avelio created. We're going to give this away today.
Yes.
You're down with SPP.
And then we got Adam Peak with us today.
Yeah.
Did I point the right way?
You did.
I'm excited to tell you all about my I got in at 1 a.m. Friday, and great meeting with Saloni, though. It was awesome.
Nice.
She's a nice person.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shout out to Saloni Doshi and Eco and Close.
Cool. So before we get into the details of Maine's EPR laws, IKEA ditching plastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Corey, you were gone.
Yeah.
Where were you? What was this conference you were at?
Packaging Recycling Summit in Dallas, Texas. It was put on by PMMI. It was really good. Learned a lot and met a lot of great people doing big things in the industry. Mm-hmm. I think the key takeaways were automation for MRFs is taking off in a bigger way than we ever even imagined. Mm-hmm. And that's very good news for all of us. Plastic, especially soft plastic, still continue to be a major issue. And
they all come with like the little recycling symbol.
Well, yeah, so they must be recycled, right? But
97.
Paul Nowak from the SPC had a great presentation about how they're going to expand the efforts to do store drop-offs. Mm-hmm. And stores are really embracing this, especially Walmart. And so that's exciting to see.
So there'll be store drop-off, and then they just pick it up, take it to the landfill?
Hopefully not. Hopefully that stops.
Avelio had a rough weekend, everybody. He's coming in with normally he's such Mr. Positivity.
Yeah.
Mr. Optimism.
So focused on positivity.
Mr. Reality.
Yeah.
Mr.
Well, and candidly,
they say YOLO.
The companies, you only live once. The companies really do need this material back. So they're going to be encouraged because of EPR laws and commanding higher PCR content. What's that?
They don't need the material back.
They will soon.
Because of
but they haven't needed this material back for
the reason Avelio. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me speak something. Let me talk
Mr. Matos
into your ears. The reason is because there are EPR laws that have been passed that require a certain amount of post-consumer recycled content in the packaging. And so the only way to get post-consumer recycled content is to wait for it, recycle the content. And so if they
from the consumers.
From the consumers, So if they don't invest in the consumers recycling the content, then they're going to be out of the regulation framework.
Okay. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Right. Landfill.
Hang on. So, all right, that's fine. If they don't, what are the fees?
$5. 10 gold doubloons. They're pretty significant in
are they significant enough to offset the higher price of post-consumer waste?
There are mechanisms around which they can raise the penalties for in some cases you can't even sell products in the state. So the penalty is whatever the revenue is for New Jersey. It's like, do you make $1 million selling your product in New Jersey? Well, then that's your penalty, is you can't sell product there.
Why can't you sell it in New Jersey?
I'm just saying that would be an example.
So you're lying.
It's a state that has
Fake news,
EPR.
everybody. That's what we're
It's a
doing.
state.
This is the media that is changing the narrative, saying that
The media. The media is always going to get you. New Jersey is a state with a law that says
That's
by
true.
X date you have to have a certain amount of PCR content. Although I don't think that they have totally codified. Right, that's a cod pieced together. What the penalties are.
It doesn't sound right.
Is that wrong? That's the wrong word.
Yeah,
It's probably the wrong word. Yeah, probably wrong. Haven't codified.
that sounds
we
inappropriate.
So yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I'm just a packaging. I'm not even an expert at this point. I'm clearly just a part of the media. I'm part of the establishment.
We also heard from the CEO of the Circular Action Alliance, and he was very positive about the efforts they've been making, and
What efforts have they
surprised
been making?
the efforts they've been making to sign up producers
Mhm.
to their producer responsibility organization. Their numbers have skyrocketed right at the end of or right at the last 2 weeks of when they needed them to. So he said it's a lot like getting your taxes in.
Okay, so there's
are
a
waiting
deadline.
to the end. Yeah,
Right. So there's a deadline across the U.S. for brands to register with a PRO. And
for Oregon, he was talking about that because they were
Is Colorado due in like a week?
Yes. So sign up if you're listening. The dozens of people that are probably listening, if any, sign up for the Circular Action Alliance today. Even if you're not sure if you're a producer, it's still valuable to sign up, and then you get access to all of their educational content, which is very valuable for you and your company. It can help you avoid these fees or possible even bans.
So, all right. So before we get to IKEA and all the other stuff, you said if you're in Colorado, go sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Who, like specifically who has to sign up? I think that's important, right? Because if somebody's listening and they do need to sign up, let's send them over. And if they're listening and they don't need to sign up, then we don't need to send them.
If you're selling packaged goods into the state, if you're selling an item that is in packaging into that state, into Colorado, or if you manufacture packaging that is branded with your company's name. So, IDP Direct, if you had a box supply business
in wings, maybe.
Yeah, a bag with wings. If you sold those into Colorado and those were used in that state, you would need to identify that as part of your repertoire, and people would need to know that you're selling those, and then you need to identify how many pounds of that material you're supplying.
Corey, you're the sustainability guy, so let me ask you this on that follow-up question on that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, if you're unsure, it's not like there's a penalty if you go and
exactly
register, right? Like, so if you're unsure, it doesn't take a ton of time. Just go register, and then you're covered.
It's free to register.
Yeah,
they are a nonprofit organization. The intention of them using the fees to create better recycling infrastructure and better circularity infrastructure, like these store drop-off things. They're helping with that. They're working on things like that will make packaging actually more circular.
Yeah, but if like IDP Direct is selling packaging into Oregon and Colorado, it's typically going to be for brands that have stores there.
Right.
So we're bringing it into into a warehouse, and then the stores are ordering it themselves, and they're bringing it into the state. So
most likely,
be the one signing up, not the manufacturers. Usually,
but it doesn't hurt to sign up and get involved and be aware of the potential as a business. If you have a business that sells things, you should look into this. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but my suggestion as a packaging professional is look into it today, sign up, and then start to attend their webinars. They're very insightful, really full of value, and they want you to sign up because then you don't have to pay the penalties for not being involved.
There are revenue thresholds, correct, Corey?
Yes.
So like, the 100 tubes of Weenus lube that my son sold,
Yes.
probably don't need to worry about signing up.
I believe it's $5 million in sales.
Yeah.
So
and that's into the state, correct?
yes,
So
sir.
like, if you're a $1 billion company, but you're like, we only sell on the East Coast, then you don't need to worry about Oregon and Colorado quite yet, right?
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, no, it's going to be a long journey, and they've been very candid. Hey, Gene, about the fact that this is not going to be an easy process. This is we're way behind in America. They've been doing this in Europe for decades and Canada for many years, and so EPR, they've proven that it works, and we need to make it happen. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Okay, and then what? All right. So what else did you learn while you were at the show?
We learned that the U.S. Plastics Pact is doing much better than public believes. Jonathan Quinn gave a great presentation about that. They're signing up companies faster than they're leaving.
That's where that's where all the brands are leaving, right?
Yes, they had several leave this last 12 months, and then somebody wrote an article about how it made it look like they all left on like the same day, which was not true. But media, man. So that was good to see JQ and Marku Alexander. They're making an impact there.
That was a bar, JQ and Marku.
Hey, what's up, Brian Franz? We got Nadim coming in from Saudi Arabia. So awesome. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always great to see how far this thing goes. And then, of course, we'd love for you guys to connect on LinkedIn with each other and, ask each other some good questions, because that's kind of the whole point of this thing is facilitating community here. Yeah. All right, man. So let's get into some of this stuff that's going on.
IKEA.
IKEA. Let's get IKEA.
Right? Like, does anyone go there for anything else other than their Swedish meatballs?
Do they sell other things? I didn't know.
I didn't. There's a giant warehouse full of stuff. I just assumed it was full
in the background.
That's just meatball storage, I thought.
Sweaty.
So, all right, man. So IKEA, if you go to the IKEA website, one of the things they're doing is they're getting rid of all of these plastic excess product, like the little screws and the little wrenches, the plastic bags that those hold. They're replacing those with paper. Which
they used to do like paper cards with thermoforms, and those were really bad because they were easy to use, but they were not recyclable.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
Easy switch.
Super simple.
Well, not easy, but good idea.
Yeah, it's a start. Right. And if you buy anything from IKEA, if you buy anything that's not meatballs, you're getting corrugated box. You're getting corrugated box with all the product in there. Inside of there, you're getting these little plastic bags.
Yep.
In terms of percentage of volume, these little bags are nothing. Right. When you compare all of the rest of it.
But that's a pretty big number there. 1,400 tons.
Yeah. When you compare to the amount of...
Are those Swedish tons, though? Swedish tons.
Yeah. So it's part of this plastics out agenda. But I don't know. I think it'd be great also to start limiting the amount of plastics that are coming out of, in terms of furniture, right? So you go through there, and a lot of that furniture is plastic, but it is reusable. So that's kind of nice, but I don't know how long that stuff lasts. We got John Greger coming in. Happy 4th of July. Is it 4th of July already? Holy cow.
Yeah, this Friday.
Nice. He's in Chicago. That's where they dye the river red, white, and blue.
Yes.
I don't think.
No?
I think that's no. I think they dye it green.
For 4th of July. Gotcha.
No, for sustainability. So when they get all of the plastics out of the river, they dye it green to celebrate.
When enough companies sign up for EPR.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Noise.
Nice.
All right, man. So I don't know. IKEA changing that to plastic. I don't know how much impact that's actually going to have, but it is a good start, right? And I think that's the things you got to celebrate all the small wins. Yeah, I think this is kind of one of those.
I think it encourages other brands to do
Mhm.
it. That's my feeling.
I do like that.
Well, Brian Franz is correcting you guys. You're totally
I'm
wrong.
not sure that he's right.
I think
it's
that's the media
sustainability.
narrative that they're trying to make it be Irish. I think that we can give a shout out to like Marcoux is a big advocate for Triac, and I remember when she was on my podcast, she was talking about how it was nice that they could convert numbers into things that people can relate to.
Mhm.
So it's like we're eliminating 1,400 tons of plastic, and I'm like, oh, what does that mean? I mean, how many?
Is that
I don't
20,
get it.
20 Volkswagen Bugs?
Yeah, I can't sort of figure out like what is 1,400 Swedish tons. I'm not.
Yeah.
Equated in meatballs. How many?
How many meatballs are we talking?
How many IKEA meatballs? Can somebody chat GPT that? How many Swedish sweaty meatballs
Delicious.
in paper meat sacks?
Duracell presented at the event, and they talked about their switch to paper packaging, and they did relate it to something that made sense. It was the equivalent of the Eiffel Tower, the amount of weight of plastic that they. So that was something that I could visualize. I've been there. It's a very heavy building, obviously. These things are.
But the Eiffel Tower has a lot of holes in it, so it looks bigger than it actually is. But you compress probably the size of the can. Yeah, I think that's the thing.
But it's tall.
So you gotta
tall.
be, yeah.
Oh, Chris Olsen
56.
coming in hot with the question.
Oh, nice. Let's see what the question is. But real quick to answer, it's about 56 million meatballs. Yeah.
Man, I got a lot of meatballs to eat.
Yeah, a lot of meatballs. Is paper packaging automatically a sustainability win? No, not at all.
Even from the sustainability guy.
Yeah, no, not at all. There's it really depends, right? If we can eliminate it completely, that's better. In this case, the IKEA plastic is not protecting food, something that would go to waste. So that's fine. But if this paper is breaking because you've got screws and nuts and stuff poking through there and you're losing the pieces, well, that's not good either.
If it doesn't perform, it's not good.
Yeah. But, and if you've got to go heavier on the paper in order for it to perform properly, now you're increasing the weight, like all these little things impact. And that's a great question, Chris.
That is a great question. I think in general terms, it often is a win, which is why there's such a feverish push with companies like Mars to move away from plastic primary packaging to paper. This is exciting news. Also, we have a sweatshirt to give away. Do we want to talk about that?
But I disagree with you.
Oh,
I disagree that paper is an automatic win. I think that is
I said
part
oftentimes it is.
He didn't say automatic. He said it's infinitely better.
Infinitely recyclable.
Yeah.
Paper. Yeah, I think. And look, I never move anybody into plastic. I move people into paper, but that doesn't automatically mean it's more sustainable.
Right.
And we talked about, if it's food,
by what metric though? I mean, is it going to be recyclable at the end of this journey? Is it made from recycled materials? What is your sustainability metric that you're measuring with? Is it easier for the consumer to dispose of in a responsible manner? Then yeah, it's a win. But
what Matthew Wright says often, he said it every time at the Spec Summit, right? He says, like, Spec Wright doesn't tell you what is sustainable. We give you the data for you to decide what's sustainable, because sustainability is subjective. It just is. So you have to allow a brand to determine you can tell them what you give your opinion on what sustainability is, but there's people who are going to say plastic is always more sustainable because
Yeah.
of, and they'll show you the data.
Yeah,
And certainly
because of
we've
the
seen-
LCAs, for example.
yeah, those are oftentimes more favorable if you have a out of the box LCA, but you can also customize the LCA to then show, oh no, actually it's the paper that's more sustainable because of this, because of these data points. And it's like, more sustainable is subjective. So pick a lane, go for it. And
And everybody has a different answer. Like when Avelio was interviewing people at Pack Expo, asking them what does sustainability in packaging mean to you, and everybody had a different answer, and they always will, because it's personal. It's it's unique from your perspective. What is sustainable?
And if you're working, if you're working with a brand, then it really goes down to like what does that mean for the brand? Like, what are their targets? What are the key metrics, right? And it could be that they're trying to just eliminate plastic, for the sake of eliminating plastic. It could be they're trying to increase recyclability. Maybe they're trying to lightweight. Maybe they're trying to eliminate packaging. I mean, there's a lot of things. So moving immediately to paper isn't necessarily one of them, because paper does have its own carbon footprint. It does have its own impact to GHG gas. Like there's a lot. Like it's not a switch and you're green.
Remember when we said this on the internet, and the CEO of a fairly large corrugated manufacturing company came at me in Avelio, and he said something like, paper is the most sustainable product of all time. I've been working in the industry since before Mr. Matos was a wet dream or something. And we were like,
remember that. I do remember that.
We were like, what is happening? But to that point, I do want to add, if you have a salesperson, a packaging salesperson who is selling you packaging, and they sell plastic, and they are only giving you data to support why their plastic is better than your paper, ask them to come back to you with data supporting the other people, and you will know, does this salesperson have my best interest in mind,
right?
Or are they trying to sell me something? Ask them to support and argue for the other side, because there is an argument for it, guaranteed. There's an argument for plastic. There's an argument for paper. There's an argument for aluminum. There are arguments. Ask them to at least come back to you at the next meeting with a counter argument, so that you can see that they're doing their own research.
Yeah. Gene said maybe he just wanted some free PR.
He did not, because I will tell you, at the time I worked for a competitor of his, and I went to their website and I screenshotted it and I sent it to all of the customers that were listed on their website. And I got 3 meetings out of it.
Oh my gosh.
So I remember that. That was a brutal exchange.
It was bizarro. It was.
Yeah, I remember all the salespeople that worked with him reached out to us and were like, he's a jerk all the time. Like
I tried to hire 2 of them. It's
John Gregory's asking if a plastic bag and a paper bag end up in a tree. KISSING on the side of the road.
First comes paper, then comes plastic.
Which one is more polluting after a week, a month, a year?
Great question. This is something we need to consider when we're talking about LCAs. Like, what if it ends up in the environment?
Yeah,
I think that's why paper advocates are always mentioning that.
Yeah,
because it's a big deal.
It is.
Plastic is very harsh on the environment, and
I mean that's one of the good things you get out of out of spec, right? It's like you get like the full picture, start to finish. A lot of times LCAs just kind of stop at recycling, but it's like really what happens after. So definitely cool.
Turn back into fossil fuels like in 100 million years. Will we be able, if we just were to bury plastic in the ground, would it be like the dinosaurs, and like the civilization in 100 million years will be like,
so we're investing in the future is what you're saying.
Thank you for burying all this plastic. Now we have post plastic fossil fuel.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I wonder if they'll be harvesting our landfills someday.
They definitely will. We already are, I think.
Yeah. Nadim's saying plastic to paper packaging is not a smart idea, especially for furniture. So it'd be great to, Nadim, if you put in a little bit more information on why you think that is, that'd be awesome.
And we've talked about this often, that paper needs to, or any packaging needs to perform, or it's not sustainable because it doesn't work. If it doesn't protect or keep the product fresh or safe, it
issue
doesn't work. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You replace plastic straws with paper straws, but then paper straws don't work. So you're using like 4 or 5 of them and you can't recycle them. So what's better?
Yeah.
So let's kind of get to this next story here. We got Maine. Maine man making changes.
Gene's comment is killing me, by the way.
If IKEA makes it more difficult to put their furniture together, there will be a 25% jump in divorces.
That's true.
And Gene was just at what show were you at? You were just like the fancy food show or something with Fred.
Oh, Fred Hart.
Yeah, with Fred Hart. I think that's what the show is. Let us know what show you were at, man, because that was pretty cool. Good stuff. All right, so Maine makes some modifications. So like what are some of these modifications? What are they changing?
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't looked it up.
Oh my gosh. How do you guys not see this stuff in the morning? So what they did was
that's 5 minutes before the show. I mean, we are well prepared.
Yes,
that's right.
Every show we are well prepared.
Always do. Preparation.
When it was originally set up, when Maine's EPR laws were initially set up, it put the full financial responsibility on the producer. I guess this changes it a little bit. It kind of softens that, and it becomes a shared responsibility model, similar to what's happening in Minnesota, Washington, and Maryland, where responsibility and the cost is distributed across the producer, the municipality, and other stakeholders, which could be consumers. And then they're kind of changing the timeline here for Maine, April 2026. Stewardship organization has to be selected. So that's your PRO.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to hurry up. I mean, it is April. It's 8 months from now, 9 months from now.
I wonder if there are other PROs attempting to form. The Circular Action Alliance has been the noted or selected PRO in every situation so far in the U.S.
I know when I spoke to the team over at Anthesis, they were kind of going through like what PROs are developing, and but there's the one popular, there's the main one, and then all these other ones are kind of popping up slowly, but it's not easy to launch, right? Especially with the current model.
Yes.
But by May 2026, they've got producers have to provide a report to the state on packaging data, and then July is when all the invoices go out to get paid. So that'll be interesting. And then October 2027 is when they expect to receive all the reimbursements. So it's not a fast moving.
Does it say what they'll use the reimbursements for? Is it more of the same as the other?
Yeah. The usual. Good. No, it doesn't tell you what they're going to use it for. It just kind of goes through like some of the changes. They're going to have a flexible payment schedule instead of having it be like a hard date, which is kind of nice. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. And there's going to be there's been some pushback from different people in terms of like making this so much easier and not as harsh as it initially was.
All right, time's up. Let's do this. Let's give away a sweatshirt already.
Yeah. Do it.
Jeez.
I'd really love it to go to one of our, consistent attenders.
Nadeem, I don't know if we can ship this to Saudi Arabia, so.
But he's got, yeah. So the reason from switching from paper to plastic for furniture packaging isn't smart is most cases paper tears easily, often poor moisture protection, and may increase shipping costs due to bulk. Kind of like what we kind of touched on there.
Yep, all valid thoughts. Yeah.
What are we doing, Corey?
Why don't you put a riddle out there?
How you doing? But,
Perfect.
Oh no, that's all right. That's not a riddle.
First one to comment. First one to tag at Corey Connors.
Yeah, I think maybe reach out to me as with an idea for a podcast, sustainable packaging podcast. If you have I would really like somebody like a Gene Portnoy to come on and talk about a consumer product brand or project that he worked on that made them more sustainable with their packaging, something like that. Then I can,
How about
really.
first person to tag 3 people in the comments?
There you go.
Boom. Gets a hoodie. Is
There
it
you
a
go.
hoodie or is it a?
It's a crew neck. It's a very nice quality.
When are we going to make packaging overalls? That's what the people are demanding.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I heard
Like on the back.
at the last Rick Owens show. They're like, we need some packaging overalls.
I got a lot of requests for those at the last show I was at.
Yeah,
Packaging
that's fair.
overalls.
All right. Do us a favor, Gene, Brian, Nadeem, Chris,
Comment.
John,
Tag your friends.
tag a couple people in the comments today, and we'll
Tag
get
your
this
kids.
sweatshirt out.
Tag your wife. Tag your husband. It's an old YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.